Hello, so this is going to be a Thursday video sort of update on the coronavirus. Now they're calling it COVID-19. Takes a bit of getting used to because it was nCoV-19, now it's COVID-19. Anyway, this is just going to be a video sort of talking about some of the things I've read and sort of trying to explain them as best I can in terms of respirator sort of terminology and stuff like that, because I guess that's why a lot of you are watching the videos I do on this. Obviously, if you want to see the more medical-based videos, Dr. John Campbell's sort of channel is excellent for that. Peak Prosperity is quite good as well. So obviously I don't want to be alarmist or anything in this video, but it's more just looking at some of the latest developments that have come out and how that might affect if you're choosing to get a respirator or whatever for it, what you'd need to get. So as of today, the figures have massively jumped up in terms of deaths and infections. However, the less scary part of that is some of it might just be that China's now more accurately reporting numbers. Apparently one of the things they're doing is basically, before it was you had to have been tested positive with a test kit to be shown as an infection. The problem was there was a very limited amount of test kits and they didn't have 100% accuracy. So some people were tested several times, one test kit would come back positive and several negative. So they might still be put as one of the positive figures, but they'd wasted essentially several test kits on the same person to get that result. Now what they're doing apparently is if they're doing an x-ray and you've got pneumonia in your lungs with all the other symptoms, they're just basically putting you down as it because the chance that you'd have pneumonia and all the other symptoms I guess are pretty low. So the good news to come out of this at least is it seems the fatality rate in general is not that bad. Obviously people who have prior lung conditions are more vulnerable and things like that. So that obviously isn't good news, but it's good news in the sense where some people seem to think it's some sort of, you know, super deadly sort of 80% mortality rate thing or whatever. It's not. In terms of fatality rate, it does seem to be like a particularly bad strain of the flu, but probably a bit more infectious. In the UK we're getting more and more cases and they're sort of looking into quarantining procedures and things like that, including forcible quarantining. But the main thing I want to talk to you about is the potential that they think it might be airborne rather than just sort of cough droplets and things like that. So it means it's a smaller aerosol type size where it can spread. So previously where I've been suggesting P3 filters or P100 filters in the videos, they might not be quite good enough. Now if you had an NBC style filter or an ABEC style filter, you know, where you've got the charcoal and the particulate filter, that might still be good enough. The problem is they don't actually really know at the moment if it is guaranteed to be airborne and then how big the microns or like the particulates are for it. So yeah, there's that. So my advice at the moment is, if you obviously can get whatever filters, get the sort of combination filters. They don't have to be anything fancy like the 4 ABEC ones. If you could get an A1 or A2 vapor filter, that's A2, you know, like A2P3 or whatever, they're generally the cheapest ones, A1P3, A2P3. Those sort of ones, that should be good enough, I assume, because it's got the charcoal in there that's designed to absorb certain gases. So hopefully any sort of much smaller vapours would get absorbed. But the point was, of course, the reason I wasn't recommending charcoal filters to begin with was that generally they are more expensive, they're heavier. You'll find them less comfortable to wear for longer periods if you have to wear them, because they'll dry your throat out when you use them, because obviously it's taking moisture out the air. And just, you know, for the simple reason that you can buy brand new P3 filters fairly cheaply, but combination filters were quite expensive. So it was more, you know, giving people a good option. P3 filters and P100 filters are still being recommended by several health agencies for it, so they might still be effective, but again, I think the problem is at the moment there's a lot of info we don't know, and then you have to kind of speculate on that. The media is kind of, it depends on what news channel you're watching, if they're reporting accurately or not on it, or as accurately as they could be. Strangely, I found Al Jazeera so far has been one of the best mainstream news channels for reporting on it. I think it might be because they're slightly critical of China anyway. So they're challenging the Chinese figures, and they've been doing that a lot more. You only see recently, I only saw like a day or two ago on the BBC when they're going, actually, we know the Chinese figures aren't accurate, where before they were going, well, the Chinese said it's this number, so it must be this number. Even if you assume there's nothing malicious on the part of the Chinese government with the reporting of figures, as I said, part of the problem was based on just the sheer number of test kits. There weren't enough, you know, and if they were going on, you 100% have to be guaranteed to have it. The numbers are going to be way lower than it actually is. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about it at the time being. So yeah, the thing of still iron mouth protection is still all the same, but yeah, the point is, if you're buying filters now, it might be worth looking into both the vapor and particulate filters. But yeah, I'll do an update as and when I know more. to advise on respirators, but for the people who've been saying, are you seriously suggesting that you wear a respirator 24/7 in your house? No, I'm not. What the point of a respirator is if you had to go out, like you had no choice but to do it and you're worried about catching it, the idea is that you wear a respirator then to avoid, to avoid the risk of inhalation of viral particles, microns, where you would catch it then, fomites, that sort of thing. So when you're at home, obviously, if everything's decontaminated, you don't wear a mask. But yeah, so that's just to answer that, because I think some people will literally seriously think what I was suggesting, you wear an NDC suit and a mask 24/7. No. The main point is that, if it gets really bad and you are really concerned, you'd have to think about isolating yourself. Apparently some schools in the UK now are even saying, to the parents, if you don't want your kids to go to school in the meantime, they don't have to, which is a pretty big move, actually. I wouldn't have thought they'd be doing that yet. But I'll show you how seriously some people in government are taking it, at least. Anyway, yeah, as I know more, I'll do more videos on it, but at the time being, there has been a big spike in infections and deaths, but part of that is just because the numbers are being more accurately reported now. And a lot of the other stuff we don't really know yet. There's stuff being suggested, but until it's, confirmed properly, I wouldn't rush out to, change all your plans based on certain things they're suggesting.